.604 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. Cade Wasan producing this morning, and we've got a busy show for you this morning. Let's see what's going on these days. Oh, we got Lane Kiffin! Cannot believe we got Lane Kiffin. That happened. That happened over the weekend. Did I just say Wayne Kiffin? I may have. Oh my goodness, we're back at it after a restful, what I hope was a restful holiday weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. Welcome aboard, everybody. Brought to you. How about I just start over? Coming to you live from the 180 Pros studios in downtown Baton Rouge. 180 Pros, not your IT provider, your IT partners. Starting off at 47 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Yes, the signing of Lane Kiffin, kind of the big deal of the day, but there's a whole lot of ground to cover today. We've got news that's all over the place. The swamp sweep is supposed to start today. Secretary of State Nancy Landry going to stop by later on in the show to talk about changes in voting. It's coming up next year, among a few other things. We are going to have, of course, our Medical Monday segment. Will Green from LABI is going to stop by. We got a lot of ground to cover this morning, so let's get right to it. Top stories and trending. LSU will officially introduce their new head football coach, Lane Kiffin, at a press conference this afternoon at Tiger Stadium. Kiffin will be joined by LSU's president, Dr. Wade Roos, and athletic director, Virg Osbury. They will debut the new vision for the Tigers. Kiffin, of course, coming to LSU from Ole Miss, where he spent the last 6 seasons, compiling a 55-19 overall record, 11-1 mark this year. Baton Rouge Police homicide detectives are investigating a fatal shooting that took place early Saturday morning. Just after midnight, officers were dispatched to the 4600 block of DeVincenti Drive near Plank Road. That's not too far from the airport. That's where officers found 22-year-old Kylan Hamilton inside a vehicle suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was transported to a hospital where he later died. The second missing pilot from a plane that crashed into Lake Pontchartrain has been identified, according to a report from the Advocate. Flight instructor, 30-year-old Taylor Dickey, was joined by Lieutenant David Michael John, also 30 years old, the U.S. Navy, for the plane that they were flying, lost contact with the Lakefront Airport in New Orleans, about 4 miles north of the airport. Coast Guard suspended their search for the two pilots back on Wednesday after crews had spent nearly 2 days searching for the missing aircraft. Apollo flight training owners Michael Carastro said John was training for his commercial pilot's license during the flight. He was also an expected father. Around 250 federal border agents are expected to launch a months-long immigration crackdown today in southeast Louisiana and Mississippi, dubbed Swamp Sweep. The deployment, which aims to arrest around 5,000 people, will be centered in New Orleans. It is the latest federal immigration enforcement operation under President Trump's mass deportation agenda. Oh, did I mention Lane Kiffin's been hired as LSU's head coach, coming over from Ole Miss? By the way, this does mark Virg Osbury's first big hire as athletic director. What's trending, Cade?
Of course, nothing is trending more than Lane Kiffin right now. I would have thought the lead story would have been a made field goal by a Saints kicker yesterday.
His first ever, huh?
First ever, yeah.
Yeah.
But President Trump is saying the U.S. is halting all asylum decisions after the shooting of 2 members of the National Guard just blocks from the White House, Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving.
It was leading into Thanksgiving. We were all wrapped up and done for the holiday when that happened. And yeah, that's a tragic story, as it turns out. And just horrible story. But halting asylums, there will be repercussions. I mean, that's the only way to break that down.
Oxford University Press is scheduled to announce its word of the year today.
Ooh.
It's not 6-7.
Oh, thank God.
This year's shortlisted words are aura forming, biohack, and rage bait. Am I saying that right? Aura forming?
Forming or farming?
Farming. You're right.
Yeah.
Farming. Yeah.
Aura farming.
Yeah.
Rage bait. And what's the other one?
Biohack.
Biohack. So I know 2 of those. So I've got a teenager.
I thought that's what happens if you eat a bad oyster.
A biohack?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. Rage
Sorry
bait.
for that. It's 6:05.
Rage bait is what what we do for a living, right?
Oh yeah,
That's
right down the hall.
yeah, right down the hall is what happens. It's called rage bait every day.
Yeah. British TikTokers Josh and Jace were named by Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser as official ambassadors for the state of Louisiana.
Oh, we got to get the audio on this. It's going to wait until tomorrow because there's just too much on the plate for today. Put the audio of this. These adopted Louisianans, I love them to pieces so much. They were given a proclamation saying that they are official ambassadors of the state of Louisiana.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when they came here last year, or no, it was during the year this year. They made the tour. They made Lake Charles look good. So
Governor Landry said the taxpayers are not on the hook for their food bill.
No, I'll be on the hook for them though,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Billy Nungesser's in favor of this.
That was cool. They
bring 'em
came out.
back.
They went down the Bahia. They went to New Orleans. They kind of did a nice little trek.
They went to Huma. They went to Huma, Louisiana.
Got a giant daiquiri.
They had first of all, they had an absolutely terrible hotel room in Shreveport, which is so par.
Yeah.
I mean,
I go to New Orleans East.
I don't.
I feel bad.
I don't dislike Shreveport, but it's like that's what. If they were going to have something go wrong in the state of Louisiana, it was going to be a hotel in Shreveport. They had a great time in Lake Charles. Awesome.
Yeah.
Had a great time here. They saw Mike the Tiger.
Good.
Went on an alligator hunt.
Yeah.
Not an alligator hunt, a swamp tour to see an alligator.
Oh, me. Yeah.
They went, they gained 9 pounds in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All rice.
Yeah. No red bean.
No.
Did not roll with Devin. But, just the number of hits, the number of eyeballs that were on Louisiana and the way they embraced us the entire time.
And eyeballs that were fans of them, but maybe weren't familiar with us because everybody here saw the videos.
Right.
But it's the others who don't have the experience,
right,
have never been and saw it through their vision, which is neat.
Yes.
And I appreciate them putting a little nice positive light on the area.
Very, very much so. I could not get enough of it. And they're just fun at the end of the day. They're just fun. So, those are your trending stories. We got to take a quick break. We got a lot of sports to cover in just in our next segment. For that, though, I want to remind you about the folks over at Breck. Just a couple weeks left until Christmas break, y'all. Breck's got your holiday camps available. Once school gets out, what are you doing with the kiddos? Check out Breck.org, B-R-E-C, Breck.org. They've got the full list of holiday camps. There are still some that are open and have availability in them. But you gotta run down the list, though, to see what's in there. And that involves going to Breck.org. Meanwhile, we tell you about it all the time. Breck's got to be all things to all people when it comes to recreation in the city parish. And they do such a phenomenal job of it. I can only think of one sport under the sun that you can't participate in at Breck, and that's bowling. Other than that, they've got you covered. Anything from pickleball to golf to tennis to soccer to rugby to you ride horses, they got you covered there too. All of it starts at Breck.org. Do you know where to find my lane train the open? It should be. Should be. I don't need it till 25. Kiffin watch. Try Kiffin watch. Yep. It shouldn't be. That's the one. All right. Coffee. Did he? Stay awake. Yeah. $6:15, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Chalk up another solid almost win for the New Orleans Saints yesterday. They fall 21-17 at the Dolphins. Really, really good almost win. I mean, after being down, what was it? They were blanked in the first half. It was 16-0 at halftime, and then put on a good-looking second half. But they do fall 2-10 on the season. Fourth defeat for New Orleans by 7 points or less. A lot of almost wins this year. Once again, couldn't overcome a slow start. Defensive end Cam Jordan, he would like to see a little bit of a faster start. Cut 19, please.
I keep saying we have to start fast, and yet we haven't had one game where it's like, okay, we blitzkrieg somebody, we put 2-3 touchdowns up, and then we're looking back. It's always been, all right, we got the lead. The whole time we've won is when we had a lead early. We've yet to have a lead and lose it.
Jordan, by the way, had 2 sacks on the day. He had a good day. You say put up 2 or 3 touchdowns early. I don't know if they've put up 3 touchdowns in a game. They may have. Shuck did throw 2 touchdown passes. New field goal kicker Charlie Smith hit a 56-yarder. That was his first field goal of his career, which is pretty cool. He's from Ireland, isn't he, Cade? Okay, so when he kicks a field goal, that the in between the uprights, are we gonna start calling it the Irish Channel? Oh, you weren't ready for that one. We gotta hit Condon. I got you. All right. There was, as you know, as when you lose close games, you did have a chance to win it in the final minute. Here's Coach Kellen Moore.
The way our guys respond, the way our guys battled, I love and appreciate that. It's not easy, being down at halftime like that and not having any points on the board and feeling like you're not quite clicking. I thought our guys responded in all 3 phases. I love the energy and the juice. We came up short at the end, but there's going to be plenty of things to learn from this.
Always like to take away some positives from this Saints season because the win-loss record is going to be abysmal. Devin Neal looked good again. He had 14 carries, 47 yards as Alvin Kamara was out. My real big win from yesterday, though, was Devon Vele. It's this receiver they picked up midseason. 8 catches, 93 yards. That's 8 catches on 8 targets. Dude caught everything that was thrown his way. Meanwhile, rewind the clock back to Saturday. Of course, LSU falls short at Oklahoma. Unbelievably exciting game. I mean, down to the wire. Let me rephrase that. Unbelievably boring game until it was down to the wire, in which case it became exciting at the very end. But man, it's tough to lose a close one. We'll talk about that in just a minute. I do want to, however, move over to Southern University because we don't often carve out a whole lot of time for Southern football here because LSU is such a behemoth. So let me take just a quick second to give some love to the Jaguar Nation for pulling out not just a 28-27 win in the Bayou Classic to move to 2-10 on the season, close out the season. They finished 1-7 in the SWAC. They saved their best performance for the last performance of the year. Not only that, but how about grabbing some headlines in a weekend where LSU's grabbing all the headlines for landing Lane Kiffin? Southern lands Marshall Faulk as their new coach. That's pretty awesome as well. All right, I'm keeping one eye on the clock. We're going to stay on time here. We're going to push LSU football to the next segment, combine it in with all the Lane Kiffin news. Right now, though, it is time for us to bring you around to, well, tell you what, I do have time to tell you that tune in Thursday as Coach Kim Mulkey leads LSU women's basketball team against Duke. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m., tip-off for 8. Proud to bring you every game all season long, only on your home for LSU women's basketball. Talk 107.3. It's 6:20. Here's the Fox Business Report. Do what? Yeah, Stuart Vaughney simulcasting with Kilmeade. Oh. I've got Nancy Landry slated for 8:35, and I was supposed to get talking points on why she's on, and I never did. So I'm gonna be flying blind for that whole segment, unless I can figure out how they contacted me, because I can't find it in text and I can't find an email. No, this one's got a bunch of shit on it, and I can't see the mouse because of the lighting. I'm not worried about it though. I got my clock here. Yeah. Saw that. I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, this is me. We are looking good to start your Monday morning. Guess it's folks get a slow start after the Thanksgiving weekend. You might find a little bit of volume on I-12 westbound before you get to Range Avenue. You might find a little bit more volume after O'Neill Lane, but it's really a great start to your morning on the interstates. 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish also looks good. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish looks good. I-110 looking good in both directions. On your surface streets, there's only one accident to report, and I guarantee you it's not around anybody. Tell me if you know where Town Drive is or James Point Drive. That's what's being worked right now. That's the only accident on the board. That's really good traffic from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. .623 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Don't forget, y'all, Talk 107.3 and Duplessis Pool Builders are giving away a dream pool. Every $25 donation supports dreams come true, which grants wishes for Louisiana kids with life-threatening illnesses. Super easy to get entered to win. Donate $100, by the way, and get 5 entries. It's super easy to enter to win. Just go to talk1073.com. You will follow the instructions there. All right, LSU football on Saturday, of course, coming up short against Oklahoma. That kind of sucked. It wasn't without a few highlights. For example, Xavier Thomas finding the end zone was a nice little touch in the third quarter.
In the shotgun, motions Thomas left to right. Now he'll orbit motion. Here's the snap. The throw goes to Thomas. He will step into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers. LSU finds the end zone first on a 1-yard pass to Thomas into the right corner. Touchdown brought to you by Louisiana Blue, the official health insurance of LSU athletics. It's 9-3 Tigers with a point after upcoming.
The defense was the real show. Yes, Saturday. As you had a number of tackles for losses. You had 6 tackles for losses, a couple of sacks within there. You also had 3 interceptions on the day, which was phenomenal. One of those coming from DJ Pickett, also in the third quarter.
3 receivers right, short side of the field with a single back in Robinson. Looking to throw. Mateer slings it. This one's going to be thrown short. This one's going to be intercepted at the 8-yard line by LSU. Third pick of the day. This time, DJ Pickett, the freshman, takes it away, and LSU has the football with 7:49 to go here in the third quarter. Just complete domination by this secondary unit for LSU so far today.
It really was. The defense was nothing short of phenomenal. It was, phenomenal, but not perfect. And sadly, that's what you needed from defenses for LSU all season long, because the offense was so abysmal. You needed perfection. I tweeted during the game, watching this LSU football team is like watching Paul Skeens pitch for the Pirates. You're either getting a no-hitter or you're getting a loss. It was rough going, watching that fourth quarter, especially you're tied up going into the fourth, and Oklahoma posts up a touchdown, LSU posts up a field goal, and that's the difference in the game, leaving LSU at 7-5. And probably, who cares where they go bowling? I mean, who cares where they go? Everything is about next season now because of the news that was announced on Sunday, which we will get to in 60 seconds. Enough time for me to remind you about the folks over at 180 Pros. 180pros.com is the website. Look, with 180 Pros, they're not your IT provider. They're your IT partner. Now, what does that mean? That's not just jargon, right? What does that mean? What it means is same-day response time. What it means is simplified billing. But what it really means is the folks at 180 Pros, who are here locally, by the way, you're not calling into some automated machine. What it means when you get hold of someone locally at 225-330-2200, it's 225. They're here. Same-day response time is unbelievably important, y'all. You know your network can't be down for an extended period of time. It's just a crusher for your business. They're on it. They're on it quickly. They base their success off of your success. So whether you're talking about your entire system network, whether you're talking about cybersecurity, whether you're talking about building out a new system, visit 180pros.com. All right. I'm going to use it one more time. For the last time, since we know where it's landed, it's time for our final installment of Kiffin Watch.
Where's the Lane train headed?
Right here.
I hear the train a-comin'. It's rolling around the bend.
This is Kiffin Watch 2025.
LSU makes the huge splash. I've never seen so many headlines following a 7-5 season the way we saw yesterday. Lane Kiffin is LSU's new head football coach. A lot of excitement surrounding this. We're going to break this down throughout the week because there's a lot of parts that have to be laid out, right? We're going to talk to as many people as we can throughout the week as well. One of the first people that Lane Kiffin talked to was ESPN's Marty Smith, who was literally camped out in their building and then literally followed Lane Kiffin to the airport in Tupelo. So here is Lane Kiffin. Marty Smith asked Lane, ESPN's Marty Smith asked Lane Kiffin, why did this process drag out so long?
It was really difficult. This has been a really special place. 6 years here. I know that there's a lot of feelings and emotions right now around. I hope when they settle down that there's an appreciation about what we were able to do here and having, the best run that's ever been done in the history of the school, and brought some exciting times. So I'm so appreciative to the people of Oxford and the relationships that I developed here. And when I spoke at my dad's funeral, he moved 17 times. And I realized when all the people, I got all the letters, calls, people showed up from around all those different spots, NC State, all the different spots he coached. And they said he was able to impact them and how much that meant to them. And so I've really strived since that day to really try to impact people and help people through life, through my journey. So just prayed a lot and made a family decision and, hopefully get a chance to go, impact a whole new set of people.
Keeping with that interview with ESPN's Marty Smith, one of the follow-up questions was, why LSU?
Yeah, just, there was something in me. This was really hard. My heart was here. But I just, I talked to some mentors, Coach Carroll, Coach Saban, and especially when Coach Carroll said, man, your dad would tell you to go, man, take the shot. Take the shot. You've accomplished a lot here. I always hated how we only gave 1 year to Tennessee and left. I really hated that feeling of that, even though it was an exciting year. But, I think that we gave a lot to this program and to the city, and, some of those historic wins in this stadium we've ever had, and best regular season in the history of the school. So I feel proud of that part, but it just became time, I talked to God and he told me it's time to take a new step.
Okay, maybe he'll answer why LSU in another question. Here's news. Do you have Dana Schlotterer? Okay. Yeah, those were the right cuts. He didn't answer the question. That's all. Is there a Medical Monday in today's folder? Okay. Perhaps the November folder, just like November as a whole. It would be named Medical Monday. Yeah, not an individual day, just November 2025. Is there something at the bottom that's not part of a folder? Who the hell is Matthew? Oh, we never played Matthew Davis. That was the guy that said we raped the Indians. Yeah. No worries. I didn't think we had one. I didn't remember recording one last week, and I don't have notes saying that we have one today. Yeah. It was a slow hurricane season because of global warming, as opposed to an active hurricane season because of global warming, or an above average hurricane season because of global warming, or it's sunny because of global warming, or raining because of global warming. Do what? Yeah. Yeah. Let me bang on a promo before it. Might go back to November 17th and replay that Medical Monday. Dr. Green was good. November 17th, uh, Medical Monday. Yep. Yeah. Week 13 in the NFL wraps up tonight when the New England Patriots host the New York Giants. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. on your home for Thursday and Monday Night Football. That would be Talk 107.3 FM. Need just a quick second to remind you about the folks over at Neurojust. Neurojust.com is where you're going to find them online. What do they do at Neurojust? Well, if you or someone you know or love is suffering from anxiety or depression, you need to give Neurojust a look, especially if you've been treatment resistant. What does treatment resistant mean? What means the sit down and talk it out therapy isn't really taking, or it means the prescription drugs, the antidepressants you've been given, you don't like the way you feel on them, and they can change the way you feel completely. You don't like the way you feel. Maybe you're seeing diminishing returns. You want a different option. Transcranial magnetic stimulation is what they specialize in at Neurojust, and this shows results, y'all. 70 to 80% show response. 60 to 70% show a full remission. Learn more at neurojust.com, Neurojust, neurojust.com. It's a type of therapy that's sweeping the nation. We're actually pretty lucky to have it right here in Baton Rouge over at Neurojust, neurojust.com. As the calendar rolls over to December, we are almost done with the first half of the school year. That's great in class, and it's great for a group of students out of class. Well, I guess in a different sort of class as well. That's the ones participating in the Young Entrepreneurs Academy. Here with an update on how things are going, we've got Dana Schlotterer, who kind of heads that whole thing up. Dana, welcome back to Talk 107.3. How are you?
Thank you so much, Brian, for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic. So a little bit of behind the scenes. I joined the steering committee for YEA. I got to tell you, the positivity of where these kids can take things is just life-changing. It's inspirational, really.
Oh, thank you so much. I agree. They're inspirational every week. They never cease to amaze me.
Okay, so tell me about this year's crop of kids. Tell me about this year's cohort.
Oh, my gosh. So this is our most diverse cohort that we've ever had, our most widely represented from a geographical perspective cohort we've ever had. We actually have 6 different parishes represented in this cohort, 16 different high schools, public schools, private schools, even some students who are homeschooled. So they're from all kinds of different backgrounds and experiences, but again, all coming together with a common purpose to create and launch their own businesses and become entrepreneurs and business owners.
Very, very cool stuff. I tell you what, let's pause this real quick and back things up to talk about what the Young Entrepreneurs Academy is and what y'all aim to do and what brings those kids around.
Yeah, so the Young Entrepreneurs Academy is a nonprofit organization. We're an after-school program that helps students create and launch their own businesses. So they start with us in September at the beginning of their school year. They're with us throughout the school year through April, every single Wednesday night at Louisiana State University's College of Business from 5 to 8 p.m. So we're taking them through the entire arc of creating and launching their own businesses, starting with the business ideas that they might have, or maybe things they've been thinking about that we help them develop, moving them through registering their business officially with the Secretary of State's office, writing business plans, and then prepping them for what we're famous for at this point, our community pitch event, which is a Shark Tank style pitch competition that they will participate in March.
It's such a phenomenal experience and growing that entrepreneurship within the next generation. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't know how y'all were able to bottle this and replicate it year after year, but it seems to grow every year.
It does grow every year. We get more applicants every year. We always have more applicants that we can take. Each cohort, we shoot to have 24 students in the cohort, and it's always really difficult for us to decide who we can admit. But it's important for us to have that specific size of cohort so that we have the right students who are willing and able to do the work. It's a lot of hard work and really take advantage of all of the opportunities and resources they're pouring into them, because we really cannot do it without our volunteer community. Yeah. People like you, obviously volunteering your time as a steering committee member, but then we also have graphic designers who are volunteering their expertise, creating all the branding. We have mentors who volunteer their expertise with helping write business plans and figure out the financials and all of those things. And then we also have restaurants that donate meals to our students. Because they're coming to us at dinner time, it's important for us to make sure they are nourished and ready for class. So we provide dinner every single week as well. That is always provided by different restaurants throughout the Baton Rouge community.
We'll get back around to this year's cohort in just a minute, but tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. Now would be a good time. I mean, you kind of walked me right up to it there, Dana. Now would be a good time to talk about how folks can give back if they want to help help that entrepreneurial mindset.
Yes, absolutely. So I like to say, if you think about YEA as a community organization, every single member of the Baton Rouge community has some way that they can participate or give back to YEA. Obviously, financial donations are encouraged and extremely helpful for us to help with the operating costs of doing all of the programming, creating all of the things that our students are experiencing throughout the year. But also, if you are a restaurant owner or know somebody who owns a restaurant, helping us make those connections to provide food for our students. If you are in business or finance or you own a business, you can sit down with our students and mentor them and help them during that business plan development. We ask mentors to volunteer for 4 weeks out of the YEA year for a couple of hours each week. If you are a graphic designer, you can volunteer your expertise in graphic design and help us create the branding for our students every year. If you are an educator or you have an educator in your life, you can connect us to the schools and the students in the schools to help us spread the word about YEA so we can get those right applicants and find the right cohort of students to develop that year after year. So literally anybody with any different area of expertise or in any niche can help us make this program successful.
Very cool stuff. And we'll give out that information again in just a minute when we're wrapping up here. But let's get back around to the kids and the ideas. How far along the idea process, how far along that business idea are they right now at this stage of their year in the program?
Yeah. So all of our students have locked in their business name. And they have actually registered their business names with the Secretary of State's office. That's one of the more powerful moments in our program every single year is when the Secretary of State's office actually comes to our classroom. So they work late. They have a couple of representatives in our class, and then they have a representative in their office registering every student's name in the evening so that the students have live feedback knowing that their name has cleared and is registered. So those were all locked in about 3 weeks ago. On tomorrow, I think, this coming week, the first time that our students will be meeting their mentors and start writing their business plans. Last week, they all got their branding and met with their graphic designers, which is also a really fun part of the program. So they're locked in. We know every student's business name and what they're going to be doing with YEA. So they are going to be writing those business plans over the next 2 months, and then we will start prepping them to pitch for funding.
We've got Dana Schlotterer from the Young Entrepreneurs Academy. YEABR.org is the website if you wanted to check them out. Dana, before we get back around to the Giving Tuesday aspect, I did want to touch base and talk about the alumni. Y'all have shown results. Y'all have netted results from previous classes. Give us some examples of what we've seen come out of the Young Entrepreneurs Academy.
Yeah, so actually, I placed an order for holiday treats this past week with one of our graduates. Her name is Caroline Sanchez. She has a business called Two Sisters Pepper Jelly that she has every variety of pepper jelly you could ever want. I literally just placed an order for 12 jars of some Satsuma and cranberry pepper jelly for holiday gifts. So that is fresh in my mind because I literally was just texting her and placing an order. We have students that are doing their clothing lines. We have Bayou Brownies that is operating out of Walker High School. He is actively selling brownies. He just bought a tent at Sam Washington so that he can also start going to fairs and festivals and selling his brownies there. We have students in all different types of industries doing all kinds of different businesses. So really the sky's the limit.
Very, very cool stuff. We'll check back in as we get closer to pitch night. But for now, one more time, since Giving Tuesday is coming up tomorrow, where can folks help out?
Yes. So if you would like to donate to yeabr.org, it's very simple. If you go to our website, again, yeabr.org, there's a donate button right at the top that makes it very easy for you. That really helps us provide scholarships for students who participate in the program, provide all of the operational costs that the programming takes to operate throughout the school year. Or if you know mentors or educators or restaurant owners who might like to be a part of what we're doing and donate time or resources, we would love that help as well.
She is Dana Schlotterer with the Young Entrepreneurs Academy right here in Baton Rouge, yeabr.org. Dana, appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you so much, Brian. We really appreciate all your support. Have a great day.
Thanks again to Dana Schlotterer for hopping on board. Pre-recorded interview. I do like to announce when we are not live. Hey, we're going to break here. We're going to check traffic. We're going to check your money now when we come back. Of course, the top story of the day, LSU hires Lane Kiffin. We'll be touching on that all morning. But when we come back, the Pelican Institute has some numbers on the next Senate race. What's happening, chat? Y'all good? I ain't even opened it up yet. What's your Lane Kiffin hot takes, y'all? Bitch from Lincoln, Nebraska. He don't know a row. From Lincoln, Nebraska. Do I? Ugh. Low and slow, man. Low and slow. Did we lose Breland already? No, she trained for a day and a half, so she needs a week to forget everything she learned before she comes back on again. Do what? You did. You did. She but yeah, she needs a week off to forget everything that she learned. That's by the way, she's gonna have to know how to do a remote by next Thursday. Next the 11th. I'm on remote. So the Louisiana Charter Schools Annual Summit in New Orleans. Or yeah, Alondra or Taylor, either way, whichever gets it actually done. The hell is that? Oh, that's what. Okay, and it 50:02 is when it cuts off and moves over. Oh, you saw right after the show. I've got an interview at 9:10 with David. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Black Friday's not really a thing anymore. I went to Costco on Friday, and it was busy. It was busy, Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I was, I ended up wanted to get my daughter some new tires before sending her back to college. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to go to Shawbills, and the car that my daughter drives used to belong to my mom. Okay. So like chain of events that went to me and then went to Carrie. But mom insisted that that the tires were still under warranty. So I went to Costco, and the guy's like, when you buy a warranty on tires, you're going to find a reason not to live up to it. Yeah. So I went over there just to be 100% sure, lost an hour of my life, and then went to Shawbills where I was taken care of. Yeah. .652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Getting your feedback over on the chat, y'all. We are live on Facebook every day, courtesy of the folks over at Lake Urgent Care. Getting your feedback live on the chat this morning about the hiring of Lane Kiffin. Just a couple comments real quick before we move on. Matt says, well, let me start with Troy. Says LSU's side of pursuing Kiffin was well done. Very quiet and uneventful. The drama is on Ole Miss's side, and I understand given their greatest season and how this could derail it. 100%. 100%. But add to this, though. What if Ole Miss wins the national championship this year? And if I'm being honest, just because I love chaos, I'm pulling for them. If Ole Miss goes on to win the national championship this year, first of all, it's going to throw all kinds of monkey wrenches into the whole why are we paying coaches $10 million a year thing. We're in this arms race right now. We're in this like Cold War style arms race to have the most expensive coach. And it feels unsustainable, especially when you're at a school that isn't in like the top 5 for a war chest. But we're dumping money on top of money to get coach after coach after coach. And I'm not saying whether they're worth it or not. If they weren't worth it, they wouldn't get paid. But if you can pull a coach out, send in a oh, there it is.
I think they announced this is a new fight song for LSU.
It needs to be. Forget playing next. They need Quad City DJs. If you can pull a coach out and still push 3 wins across to get yourself a national championship, then you really have to ask the question, what are we doing here? Why wouldn't all the money go back into the revenue share, back to the bottom line so it hits the revenue share? And finding ways to make, the NIL clearinghouse valid. It's a good comment. Matt says, people always got to talk. Quote, per reports from anonymous sources. Just stop talking. Matt, from your mouth to God's ears, man. The number of, like, just personally, the number of, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. Stop. A broken clock is right twice a day. A lot of people got this, quote unquote, got this one right. But it's not, they didn't get it right.
Everywhere in town I went, I spoke with people that are genuine, nice people, were excited about what eventually happened to be excited about.
Right.
But always had I have a friend whose hairdresser worked on the girlfriend of a coach, and it was just a very long way to get back to Kevin Bacon or Lane Kiffin somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's 6 degrees to separation. And just because this one happened to be right doesn't mean that it was right. If I'm trying to think of the proper analogy for it, but opinion and fact are different things, and it's not fact until it is. Up until it is fact, it is opinion. You just guessed right. That's the only difference. The Pelican Institute for Public Policy has released a poll on next year's U.S. Senate race. You heard about this from our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. Daniel Erspamer is their CEO. He says the Pelican Pulse poll gathered responses from 761 voters, found that State Treasurer John Fleming has the best chance of ending up in a Republican primary runoff with Senator Bill Cassidy.
67 cents of every dollar.
Nope, that's
that you
not
spend.
it. Is that 7? Oh, wow. They've got it misnumbered. All right, well, then I don't worry about it. I got it from here. The other Republican Senate candidates, Julie Emerson, Blake Miguez, Kathy Seiden, and Eric Skrmetta, are polling in the single digits. And this, y'all, is going to be an interesting handful of months, to be sure. Because you've got Senator Cassidy, whose numbers are basically where they're going to be. John Fleming is going to run second in this race. And what we're looking at here is, can one of these other candidates really grow their name over the next 4 months? Julie Emerson and Blake Miguez probably stand the best chance because they are already elected officials. They've walked in with, campaign dollars, not enough to run a U.S. Senate race, but walked in with, a head start on the campaigning front. They weren't starting from zero. Eric Skrmetta would be after that from his PSC days. Kathy Seiden is kind of I don't want to say an outlier in the race, but she went from a St. Tammany council to a U.S. Senate race. That is quite the leap right there. Unbelievable leap right there. So all 4 of these candidates have the same task in front of them, and that is, how do you get your name known statewide? Who has the best opportunity to do that? Quite honestly, that's going to come down to dollars. Senate race right now, I'm not really seeing that the numbers today, the numbers from the Pelican Pulse poll, and we'll get Erspamer on to talk about this as the week wears on. But the numbers from the Pelican Pulse poll right now versus, let's say, at the end of February are, to me, going to be completely different. And now, hold me to this, by the way. I don't make bold predictions very often, but we're going to see numbers change dramatically. Because, number one, Senator Cassidy has the opportunity to work with President Trump. Senator Cassidy, as everybody tries to cozy up to Trump the most, has the most access to the current president. John Fleming was in the cabinet last time around, was not asked back. Why is that? Blake Miguez, if you follow his messaging, if you follow him on social media, he is the most MAGA of the candidates out there. He's shouting MAGA all day long. But Senator Cassidy has that access. Blake Miguez can put out a post, a video on Twitter that says, I support President Trump. Senator Cassidy can post a picture from the Oval Office with President Trump. Julie Emerson, unbelievably smart, unbelievably strong. I just don't know if there's going to be the time, the money to go around, and just the overall putting together a ground game over this course of time. Her and Kathy Seiden are going to run into the exact same problem. Skrmetta has a bit of a larger footprint with the PSC, but the growth from where he's at to where he should be is going to be tough to follow. So let's check it out again at the end of February. Here's hour 2. Hour 2's next. Nope. LRN .705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Cade Wazan producing, coming to you live from the 180 Pros studio in downtown Baton Rouge. 180 Pros. It's the time for your IT to do a 180. Visit 180pros.com. We got a busy second hour for you this hour. Of course, Lane Kiffin, our top story. LSU has their guy. We've got Medical Monday coming your way in about 10 minutes. We've got Will Green from LABI hopping on board. A lot to talk about with Will. But before we get to any of it, we dive in with top stories and trending. LSU will officially introduce their new head football coach, Lane Kiffin, at a press conference this afternoon at Tiger Stadium. Kiffin, joined by LSU president Dr. Wade Roos and athletic director Verge Osbury, will debut the new vision for the Tigers. Kiffin, of course, coming over from Ole Miss, where he was booed at the airport on the way out after providing an 11-1 season this year. Baton Rouge police homicide detectives are investigating a fatal shooting that took place early Saturday morning, just after midnight. Officers were dispatched to the 4600 block of DeVincenti Drive near Plank Road. That's not too far from the airport. There, officers found 22-year-old Kylan Hamilton inside a vehicle suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was transported to the hospital. That is where he later died. Around 250 federal border agents are expected to launch a month-long immigration crackdown today. It starts today in southeast Louisiana and in Mississippi. The deployment, which aims to arrest around 5,000 people, is centered on New Orleans. It is the latest federal immigration enforcement operation in President Trump's mass deportation agenda. Crews with the United Cajun Navy, along with Team Texas K-9s, have located the wreckage of a missing plane that crashed in a Lake Pontchartrain last Monday. This coming in as a report over the weekend. And they have since identified both of the pilots. I'm pulling back up. Let me go back to the story again from our news partners, the WBRZ. They have identified the pilots. Apparently last Monday, plane lost contact with all of its instrumentation and did crash into Lake Pontchartrain. The Coast Guard had suspended its search for the two pilots on Wednesday. Now, Apollo Flight Training's owner, Mike Carrastro, said that the pilot, let me get back to the flight instructor. Taylor Dickey, 30 years old, was joined by Lieutenant David Michael John, 30 years old, also of the U.S. Navy, before the plane that they were flying lost contact with the lakefront airport. The owner of Apollo Flight Training, Michael Carrastro, said the pilot was training for his commercial pilot's license during the flight. He was also an expected father. Did I mention Lane Kiffin is LSU's new head coach? Press conference coming up this afternoon. This, by the way, not to overlook this, but very, very quick work by new athletic director Verge Osbury. What you got, CV?
All right. Well, of course, we know that Lane Kiffin is trending here and probably nationally as well. President Trump is also trending, saying the U.S. is halting all asylum decisions following the shooting of two members of the National Guard just blocks from the White House. I had heard a report that they had just come on board as members of the National Guard.
Yep.
So very new into that role. Tough, right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
too.
this was after we were off the air on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So the story itself is has made it through the news cycle. The new news, though, is that the suspension of asylum, and this is I don't want to say this is not an unexpected repercussion. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you're going to see if you have an example of someone who would give the president a reason to shut that down. He's going to shut it down. That doesn't surprise me at all.
I expect Kill Me to probably have more on that at 11 today.
Yep.
Oxford University Press is scheduled to announce its word of the year today. Got a couple of options. The short list: aura, farming, biohack rage bait?
So aura farming is like going out of your way to look cool,
Okay.
like intentionally trying to look cool for social media or for like, your aura, you're trying to farm your aura. You're trying to like make sure your aura is growing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know why they're misusing the term aura like that, but that's what aura farming is. I don't know what biohack is. I know what rage bait is. A lot of folks in this business do it for a living.
What is that, a non-conference game we got to play next year?
What, rage bait?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's no, that's the band that's playing at Murphy's afterwards.
Fair enough. Murphy's. Yeah.
Murphy's is back,
Is
dude. Murphy's. They're
You're
on
talking about. I didn't spend a lot of college time here, so I don't have a lot of information. But.
So Murphy's, but it's on Chime Street now.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's an Irish pub.
Yes.
Okay.
Ish.
Makes sense.
I mean, it's a college bar. It's not like you're not going to walk in there and.
Is that the one that had all the stuff hanging from the ceiling? Or am I wrong?
Oh man, I don't think I ever looked up at the ceiling when I was in Murphy's.
Oh, I'm probably incorrect.
Went upstairs to shoot pool while Dash Riprock was playing downstairs.
Dash Riprock.
Oh man, are you
Heard
kidding
that?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
British TikTokers Josh and Jace were named by Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser as official ambassadors for the state of Louisiana.
We're gonna play. So we're gonna do a segment on this tomorrow because
are they from Dutchtown?
Josh and Jace, they are not from Dutchtown. No. But the way they were so overwhelmingly
no one else gets
surprised.
That, that's fine.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. That joke was for 3 people.
And 2 of them are in the studio.
I don't know if any of the others are listening. So
shout out TFD. When they read their proclamation on the air, and they're just so overwhelmingly like joyous and surprised and just genuinely humbled by it, whatnot. It's just too sweet, It's like icing on top of icing. It's just
Were they forming aura?
Were they aura farming? No, but they weren't rage bait either.
Oh, good.
I gotta look up what biohack is. I don't know that one. I try to keep up with the terms because I have a teenager. But
yeah, I don't know.
Biohack.
I've seen the 6-7 multiple times to know that I'm ready for it to
so
pass.
Off that. Goodness gracious. Can we please be done with that?
Yeah.
It is.
But
disgusting.
how tall is Trades Green?
Stop.
Oh, okay.
Stop. I could punch Jacob Hester every time he said that during the broadcast.
Shout out 1-8.
The practice of making intentional changes to your lifestyle, body, and environment to improve performance and health. That's
like getting
biohacking.
Healthy? Like getting healthy?
I mean, is a diet now biohacking?
Ah, jeez.
Oh man. It's like, so if I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see a video for Tai Chi, if I want to do that, that's biohacking? Taking on a new workout's biohacking?
Is that an appetizer at Thai Kitchen?
Tai Chi?
Yeah.
No, I think it's some kind of stretching or something.
Okay, cool.
We get Medical Monday coming up in just a little bit. Before we take our break, though, I want to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. They're downtown on 3rd Street. They're in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, directly across the street from Tiger Stadium. You know what? Directly across the street from the PMAC. I got to start saying that now because it's basketball season, and basketball looks good. And they're also on Highland Road, just west of Kenilworth. But I'm not telling you about them from a tailgate perspective today like I did all football season. What I'm telling you about from Mathern's today is if you're in charge of the catering, if you're in charge of the food for your company's Christmas party or for your own Christmas party, hit up Matherns.com. Get a look at more than 50 different catering trays that if you don't see what you like, call them. They can build to suit, right? They can do what it is you're asking for. But like I said, 50 different catering trays. You're going to find something you like out there, whether it's just the little sandwiches, the boudin balls, the chicken strips, or, any level throughout, hot, cold, veggie, fruit, meat, whatever you want. They've got you covered at Mathern's. If you're in charge of the food for your company's Christmas party, make it easy on yourself. Hit up Matherns.com. Yeah.
It's time for your weekly checkup. This is Medical Monday, presented by Our Lady of the Lake Health.
Interstitial lung diseases and asthma are both chronic conditions that affect breathing and lung function, but they differ greatly in their causes, symptoms, and treatment. Today for Medical Monday, we've got Dr. Jason Green on with us to help us understand these conditions, their warning signs, and how patients can best manage their lung health. Good morning, Dr. Green. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing well.
Glad to have you on this morning, and there's so much ground to cover once we start to peel back the layers of the onion, as it were. Let's start off with the ILDs. What are they, and how do they differ from other lung conditions?
You gave me a hard topic. ILD is not infection, and it's not cancer either, but it can still be pretty severe. It's inflammation in the tissue of the lung itself. And it's actually an umbrella term that describes a number of specific diseases within this inflammatory condition.
What are a few of those?
Well, a few of the causes of interstitial lung disease, I like to think of it in buckets. So exposures. So I trained some in West Virginia. Coal workers or black lung was a cause of an interstitial lung disease. Asbestos exposure, radiation, certain medications can cause interstitial lung disease. That's the exposure bucket. Mm-hmm. Another bucket is autoimmune conditions. So the same inflammatory conditions that can affect the joints, like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, systemic sclerosis, can also affect the tissue of the lungs. So RA, is a relatively common autoimmune disease, but it can also, in more rare circumstances, affect the tissue of the lung. And as lung doctors, we tend to see those more rare things commonly. So this is something that we see in clinic a good bit. Mm-hmm. And then the last bucket is idiopathic, which basically means we're idiots and we haven't figured out why it's happened yet. You can think of, pulmonary fibrosis is something that a lot of patients have heard about. Typically, we don't know why it happens. We don't have a specific cause or etiology, but in up to 20% of people, it can be familial or hereditary. So these are the three big buckets of causes as to why they happen. Mm-hmm. And it can often be difficult to make that diagnosis and then figure out a patient-specific treatment plan for that.
We are talking with Dr. Jason Green about ILDs, as it were, interstitial lung diseases. Dr. Green, you talk about the difficulty in making the diagnosis. It sounds like there's a lot of crossovers between ILDs and asthma. How difficult is it to separate those things to, know it's one and not the other?
Yes. The lungs can only present so many ways. They can present with, cough, shortness of breath, especially when someone exerts themselves. Sometimes chest tightness. Asthma has a little bit more of a unique feature, although it's not specific to asthma, in expiratory wheezing. So when someone's breathing out, they can kind of sound like a whistle, and that can help guide us much more commonly toward asthma than interstitial lung disease. Also, asthma can have a specific trigger that elicits the symptom, and ILD is much more indolent and chronic. It's kind of slowly progressive, typically. So I can use these two presenting symptoms to begin my path of separation, and then I will order some tests to make that diagnosis for the patient.
Okay, good stuff right there. Talk with Dr. Jason Green about ILDs on Medical Monday this morning. Of course, Medical Monday presented by the folks over at Our Lady of the Lake. Let's pivot over to asthma real quick, since that would be, it's being brought up, but if you're bringing up one, you're bringing up the other. So how does asthma affect the lungs, and what typically triggers flare-ups or attacks?
So if ILD is something that affects the tissue, and if you think about the lung, air sacs and blood vessels where oxygen and carbon dioxide get exchanged, interstitial lung disease is actually that tissue around those air sacs. Asthma affects the airways, so the bronchi, the bronchioles, and it is inflammation within those airways themselves, which is how we can hear when they do get inflamed, that wheezing or whistling sound. Also, the triggers that can cause an asthma symptom, some common ones that we see: smoke, perfume, chemicals, cleaning sprays, even allergies.
Mm-hmm.
Some folks, unfortunately, have exercise-associated asthma, and it may be associated with wheezing, or when they exercise, they may just develop a cough. And it's easy to tell folks just to exercise, but if their asthma is uncontrolled, they're not going to be able to exercise adequately until we get it under control. So it's important to not just kind of try to suppress a symptom, but actually look into it and see what's going on so that we can optimize the lung health as much as possible to allow them to live a happy, healthy life.
Okay, so I might be oversimplifying this, and I might be way, way wrong, but let me see if I'm hearing you right. The difference between asthma and the ILDs is the lungs versus on the way to the lungs.
That's exactly right. That's a great way to think about it. Both inflammatory conditions, one of them in the airways, the other in the tissue itself.
Awesome. Okay, we got that one cleared up. Awesome. So let's talk treatment. Let's talk management, and let's start on the asthma side. You mentioned, folks can't exercise because the exercise makes them cough. Exercise makes them, inflamed and whatnot. What do treatments and management strategies look like for asthma patients?
Classically, reverse the trigger. So if you know that smoking or chemical sprays, specific ones, can cause a trigger, try to treat the trigger. Even allergies, treat your allergies. Louisiana, being around the Mississippi riverbed, is notorious for having a high allergic profile. So if you can, treat the underlying cause. The other thing is inhalers. We use, inhaled steroids to reduce the inflammation in the airway. And these are different than the oral steroids that get in the bloodstream because they're just isolated to the airway. We don't have as many complications with that. And that's kind of the foundation of treatment. Over the last few years, there has been kind of a revolution in asthma treatment for the severe folks. So previously, severe asthmatics would just be put on steroids, and they would flare, be put on steroids, and then come off, and then flare again, steroids, and come off. And oral steroids eventually, over a long term, have consequences. Now, advanced targeted therapies have been developed. You have to qualify for these with severe asthma, but they can actually block the inflammatory cells before they cause that inflammation in the airways. And it has changed asthma. I had a patient in clinic who was a young man, just moved out, trying to develop his life. And he was in and out of the hospital. It was disrupting his work. He couldn't go on dates. He was living with horrible asthma symptoms and staying on steroids. And after initiation of one of these biologics, his life changed. He could function at work. He was no longer in the hospital ever since that point.
Wow.
His last visit that I had with him, he was asking about, clothes to start to go on dates. And this became his perspective rather than just kind of drowning in his symptoms. So these medications, if you qualify for it, can be life-changing.
You never think about asthma in terms of being all-encompassing like that. It's always like there's an attack, you hit the inhaler, like that's the normal path. That's that's a much more severe scenario.
It happens. For the vast majority of patients, the kind of cornerstone inhaler therapies are fantastic, and they can mitigate almost all symptoms. But there are some that advanced targeted therapies are absolutely necessary, and they're life-changing.
Let's talk about treatment for the interstitial lung diseases. What options are available, and there's got to be a level of importance to early diagnosis on this too.
Yes. This is much more complex. So early diagnosis is key, in my opinion, in all the diseases, just to know actually what we're facing and develop that treatment strategy. Mm-hmm. Also to mitigate complications. Folks with interstitial lung diseases, you or I might be able to get a pneumonia and kind of sniffle and you maybe sit out of work for a day. If you have a severe underlying lung disease, like an interstitial lung disease, it can put you in the hospital for a while. So preventative measures are very important for these interstitial lung diseases. So treating those secondary issues that can come up. Also, determining the etiology. If we know that this can be an exposure-related etiology, removing that exposure is huge. If it's an autoimmune disease, diagnosing that type of autoimmune disease and getting good treatment control for that can help prevent advancement of that disease. And then there's a class of anti-fibrotic agents that can try to help fibrotic, when I say scar, prevent that scar from kind of settling in. Once that scar is in late stage interstitial lung disease, think about a scar on your skin or your hand. You can't reverse the scar; it's there. Right. So at that point, advanced therapies, even like lung transplantation, can be discussed with certain people. It's critical to, if you're living with symptoms, then having that diagnosis and treatment is very important.
This is Medical Monday, presented by the folks over at Our Lady of the Lake. We're talking with Dr. Jason Green today about understanding interstitial lung diseases and asthma. Want to pivot over to talk about lifestyle changes as well. And are there any, when it comes to lifestyle changes, other preventative steps that people could take to help protect their lung health overall, what are some of the big ones here?
Yeah, this is a common question that I get in the hospital and in clinic in treating pneumonias or treating asthma or interstitial lung disease. Body health is lung health.
Yeah.
So go for a walk. That's going to be better than any, contraption that you find on Amazon that's going to be a lung strengthening exercise. Exercise is great. The respiratory muscles are the same groups and types of muscles that we're using when we go for a walk or when we do a pull-up or anything like that. So I encourage folks to exercise, and their lungs and respiratory muscles will strengthen along with it.
Are there any weight issues on this front? I mean, if you're carrying a little bit heavier, does that exacerbate things?
Yes. The other thing to say is, smoking, don't smoke. Asthma and obesity don't get along. So, we encourage people to try to lose weight in cases of obesity. If the lung disease, just as I spoke about with asthma, if the lung disease isn't controlled, it can be an especially vicious cycle. Uncontrolled lung disease leads to shortness of breath. A patient gets short of breath and they do a little bit less. And when they try to do something again, they're that much weaker and more deconditioned. So it can be a vicious cycle that really focusing on optimizing the lung disease, and then in those good days, pushing forward with your exercise is critical. And that's how you can try to keep a good, healthy lifestyle, body weight, and lung treatment program.
Well, I know I'm getting a little bit off task here, but I'm having trouble not making the connection between lung health and heart health and the combination or the Venn diagram of the two.
Absolutely. Shortness of breath is not just a lung symptom. There are buckets of big body systems that can cause shortness of breath. Heart disease, absolutely. If you're having heart problems, it's going to give you that symptom of shortness of breath. It does not always present with chest pain. Lung problems, anemia. If I take half the blood out of your body, you're going to feel short of breath. And then that deconditioning that we spoke about earlier. If you don't do the things that you used to do, and then you try to get up and do it, you are going to be short of breath. So staying in good physical condition is also important.
If we've opened anybody's eyes along the way and they have some of these symptoms and, maybe want to be a little bit precautious here, how can they make an appointment with your team?
Yeah, Yep. Well, the first thing to say is if you have sudden severe symptoms, call 911, go to a hospital for sure. We would be happy to see you. You can call our office, 765-5500, and we can get you an appointment.
He is Dr. Jason Green with Our Lady of the Lake. Thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
All right. I think this is fantastic. Thank you for doing this.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. Fantastic information. Okay. Thank you. Ooh. 736 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. It has been a busy morning, continues to be a busy morning. We waste no time in getting to Will Green, President and CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. He's on with us now. How are you, man?
Haldane, I'm doing well, man. You got your first class ticket on the Lane train or what, man?
It has been a long time coming on this one, man. We've been running a Kiffin watch bit for about 2-3 weeks now. So yeah, glad to see this actually come to fruition. A lot of excitement in Baton Rouge today.
I'm telling you, man, it is a lot of excitement. A lot of credit goes to Verge Allsbury, new athletic director, President Roos, and man, shout out to 2026 LABI board chair Scott Ballard, who's the current chair of the LSU Board of Supervisors. I know
He
those
is
guys
not.
did it. Yeah, he's our 2026 board chairman, and so busy guy, and so a lot of credit goes to those gentlemen for getting one of the most sought after coaches in the country to come to LSU. And so I know they're excited. I know they've put in a lot of hard work, and so kudos to them. I don't know if they worked as hard as our guy Marty Smith in the media that hung out all day and all night at Oxford. He looked his eyes looked a little bloodshot when he interviewed Lane getting on the plane. But Haldane, you ever had an all nighter like that in your media career?
Hurricane coverage, sure, but I'm on the air the whole time. What Marty Smith did, I'm not going to hate on the guy, but there's a difference between journalism and theater.
He is forever a gift now. Some of the gifts coming out of that were hysterical. But yeah, man, I didn't know if you'd ever been that dedicated to a story.
No, I can't say that I have. I can't say that there's been one story, especially about football, that would require that level of hanging out in a bathroom. I mean, just think is my goodness gracious. That was quite the ride. And he finally caught up with him at the airport. Like somehow Kiffin got out the building without him getting a hold of him, and he had to chase him down. So
he got the interview.
Yes, he did. I'm trying to think. Have I ever had to work that hard for an interview before? I don't know. Real quick though, you mentioned Scotty Ballard, and I know Ballard. He didn't like to be on mic a whole lot. He's a behind the scenes kind of guy for sure. But when you look at the last 2 months at LSU and the way the seas have calmed after the seas got rough, big shout out to him for just keeping the head on the swivel and putting things back, putting pieces back in place along the way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. Scott's he's not doesn't take a lot of credit, doesn't want a lot of credit. He's behind the scenes guy, but man, if you really dug into all he's involved in and all he does for the community and just for the state as a whole, he is a tremendous guy, great leader, and we're super excited to have him not only serve the flagship but also serve LABI as our chairman next year, because we've done a lot in these couple of years, but we got a lot of work left to do in 2026 and 2027. And so to have him lead the organization next year is going to be tremendous.
Okay, well, that kind of sets it on a tee for the perfect segue there, talking about the 2026 program of work. What is it? What does it mean? What does it look like?
Yeah, so look, I think at LABI, we represent close to 2,000 organizations. And I think we do that in a way that is as transparent and as informed and as organized as any organization as I've ever been a part of. And Brian, how we do that is we do that through our program of work process. And so we talked about this before, but we are guided by this 50-year-old, and it's our 50th anniversary this year since we were created, this 50-year-old document that we call our program of work. It lists out our priorities. It's divided up into specific issue areas such as energy and healthcare and education and civil justice reform. And so the reason I say that's a living, breathing document is because every year within those issue areas, our members can choose to sit on issue councils that cover areas specific to their needs.
Okay. And every year, I mean, it could be, let's say when you get
healthcare.
Yeah, go ahead.
And around this time of year, we meet with those issue councils. We go over that program of work, we review that language, and we ask them, is this still the priorities that we need to be looking at? Is this language still up to date? Do we need to change it? Do we need to update it? Do we need to look at removing some things? And so we just went through that process. We just met with our issue councils. We just updated language, and then we take that to our board of directors. They approve that language. We inform them, they inform us, and we take what we've learned from our issue councils. We take what we've learned from being out in the community at our regional rallies, meeting with legislators. We meet with our board, and then we take all of that information, and that is what informs ultimately our program of work and our top priorities. And we just did all that in October and November, and then ultimately at the end of November on our board meeting, and we came up with our new 2026 program of work, as well as our priority list. And that's what we'll go and take with us in 2026. That's how we'll measure ourselves against bills that are filed. That's what we'll work with legislators on filing our own bills. That's how we'll prioritize. That's what we'll benchmark. And so that will hopefully, all of that new 2026 program of work will be up on our website, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. And anybody can go to LABI.org and read that.
Can you give us a little peek behind the curtain as what those priorities are? I heard a thunk. Did we lose him?
Hey, Brian, did I lose you?
No, there you are. You're back. You're back. Will, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. Can we get a little peek behind the curtain as to what those priorities are?
Sure, yeah. So, our staff travels throughout the year, obviously, as soon as session ends, and we start meeting with members. We have our regional rallies. We meet with our legislators. We meet with members all over the state. We have what's called our strategic planning meeting, which is when we get with our board. And so this year, based on input from our state travels with our staff, based on feedback from the board, based on input from our issue councils, we looked at wanting to continue the momentum that we've already had over the last couple of years. Momentum in passing some significant insurance reform, momentum in passing significant education reform that allowed us to move from the 40s down to the 30s. We looked at workforce reform. We looked at tax reform. We looked at all those things we've done, and we said, how do we continue to capture that momentum and carry it forward? But then also, what is the work left to do? And so really what we've done is we've looked at really three buckets. The first, obviously, is continuing insurance reform.
Yeah.
We're still one of the highest cost states in the country. We've got a lot of work left to do to keep up with Florida and Georgia. And so we want to continue to balance the scales of justice. Yeah, we want to make sure that insurance pays their fair share, but we've got to make sure that we balance the scales of justice and diminish some of these nuclear verdicts that we're seeing in Louisiana and more across the country. And so how do we do that? How do we look like other states when it comes to that? Secondly, we're going to look at every one of our members that we talked to. When we polled our members and we talked to our board and we went across the state, they said workforce is a challenge. How do we address the growing needs of our employers as we're attracting the meta data centers, and they need carpenters, they need welders, they need HVAC. As we look at CF Industries and Woodside and all these massive companies coming, how do we grow that workforce? And so we're going to do it through cradle to career pathways, more internships, more apprenticeships. Brian, studies have shown overwhelmingly that a student who has a paid internship comes out of college, comes out of school, not only with a better job, but a better paying job. And so and internships are a win for the employee, they're a win for the employer, and they're a win for the state because we get to keep that talent in state.
Yes.
And so that's the second big plank. The third big plank is energy. We've got billions and billions of dollars already announced and then hundreds of billions in the pipeline, and they're all surrounding energy affordability and flexibility and this all above energy approach. Yet includes carbon capture, but it also includes energy affordability. And so how do we make sure that we capture the momentum we already have and then really catapult to the next level of affordability and energy and sustainability and really capture that all above energy approach. And so those are the three things that we're going to be focused on at LABI in 2026.
We got Will Green, President, CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry with us. Will, okay, I want to hammer down on a couple of things here. First and foremost, we've gone at insurance reform a number of times, and we cannot take the foot off the gas. What I absolutely love about this program of work for 2026 is the specificity. You said nuclear verdicts. It's like, you know where your target is. Insurance reform is very widespread. Legal reform, tort reform, whatever, verbiage you want to put on it. That's a very widespread thing. To say you're going after nuclear verdicts, I feel like you've got a very specific target right there, and you can't achieve a goal that you don't know what it is. So knowing that going in, I think is going to put us, give us quite a head start in the race.
Yeah, so look, we don't want it to be too specific to where it's not flexible. But we also don't want to be too broad to where we don't understand really what we're,
right.
What dart we're throwing and what the dartboard is. And so we were very intentional in putting the word nuclear verdict in there, because if you look around the country, it's something that the U.S. Chamber's focused on. It's something, unfortunately, that we're having to deal with in Louisiana. More of these 5, 10, unfortunately, $750 million verdicts that are coming down that are quite frankly running business, running insurance, running our citizens out of the state. And it's happening at a greater rate than it has before in the past. And it's happening at a higher level in Louisiana per capita than it is across the country. And so we've got to focus on things like, Mississippi has damage caps, looking at jury verdict forms, making sure that the jury understands, the case before them. And so these are things that we're going to be talking about, that we've been talking about, that we're going to continue to discuss, not only with our members, but with legislators, on how do we balance the scales of justice? How do we create some certainty, predictability, and transparency in our civil justice system so that we can attract more business, more insurance, and just more confidence back in Louisiana.
We got about 2 minutes left with Will Green, President, CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Will, we're going to have to do a whole segment on the all of the above approach for energy, and how do we tackle the Chicken Littles of the world. But in this last 2 minutes, I want to completely pivot and talk about an event that y'all have got coming up. You did mention this is LABI's 50th anniversary. Tell me about the Golden Gala.
Yeah, so look, this is something that we're so excited about. We are going to be doing an event December 11th at the Capitol Park Museum to celebrate our 50th anniversary. And again, LABI was started 50 years ago with the goal of making business more competitive here in Louisiana. And so you can go to labi.org right now, right as soon as that first page pops up, click on the events page, and you'll see information for how to get a ticket to our Golden Gala. It's going to be a can't miss event, black tie. We're encouraging everybody to wear some form of gold in there, because, like I said, it's our golden anniversary here, and so it's something we're excited about. Capitol Park Museum. Look, that venue in December at night, overlooking the Capitol, is a can't miss venue. I think it's one of the best venues in town, and so we're gonna truly celebrate 50 years of being the voice for business here in Louisiana. Brian, I hope you'll be there. I hope your listeners will be there. We want any and all to come and help us celebrate 50 years of being the voice for Louisiana business. You can count on it. He's Will Green, President, CEO of LABI. We always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Brian. Thank you. Here's your money now. Oh, I'm about to hop on that carbon sequestration bus hard, y'all. And I'm losing patience. I'm losing patience in a very, very big way with the Chicken Littles. The Chicken Littles. The ones who say that carbon sequestration is going to ruin us. It's junk science. It's not junk science. It's science. You're going to kill Lake Maurepas. It's that you don't understand science. Do what? It was part of the Green New Deal.
It's the only part of the Green New Deal that the president hasn't squashed. So what does that tell you if Trump is not saying no? What it tells me is the politicians that haven't figured out how to make money off it are the ones that are against it. The ones that only say yes to things that they can make a profit off of themselves. Oh, hey, do you have any balloons at your house? Like just regular latex balloons? I can't find any in my house, and I don't want to go buy a whole bag because I only need like 2. Kill my mic? Brown. 755 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Man, it's been a busy show thus far. Not taking our foot off the gas anytime soon. Hey, coming up about 10 minutes from right now, the swamp sweep should be underway as of today. ICE is going to be all over South Louisiana, Mississippi. Immigration attorney David Rozas is going to join us. Just kind of like with the little primer. What do we all need to know? What do immigrants need to know? What do legal immigrants need to know? Who should actually, be afraid? Or should they be? We'll talk about that in our next segment. Right now, it's time for This Day in History. Bum, 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 bum. Of course, a big shout out to 5-Star Printing and Signs, bringing you this day in history every day. 5-Star Printing and Signs. You know where to find them. In real life, you find them right next to Big Mike's in Denham. But they service the entire capital area. Is it time for a little refresh on your printed materials? 5-Star Printing and Signs. 271-4096 is the number. 271-4096 or printshop5.com. Cade, what you got?
Hey, thanks to 5-Star for that beautiful banner, backdrop banner
I
behind
know,
us.
right?
Yeah.
Looking good.
1640, this day in history, Portugal regains independence from Spain, ending the Iberian Union.
That's what I had for today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
1821, the Dominican Republic proclaims independence from Spain.
Okay.
1862, Abraham Lincoln delivers the State of the Union address, reaffirming the need to end slavery.
But that was like the middle of the war, right? War started in 1860?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
1865, Shaw University, the first historically black university in the South, is founded in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hey, look at that.
1913, Henry Ford introduces the first moving assembly line for automobile production.
Wow. Okay. Didn't realize that was today.
1919, Nancy Astor becomes the first woman to take a seat in the British House of Commons.
All right.
A very impactful moment. 1955, Rosa Parks refuses to give up her bus seat in Montgomery, sparking the civil rights movement.
Yes.
1988, the first World AIDS Day is observed globally to raise awareness about HIV.
World AIDS Day?
World AIDS Day,
Okay.
1988.
All right. I guess.
Moving on to celebrity birthdays.
Oh, we got some, huh?
We got Woody Allen.
Yeah.
We got Bette Midler.
Yeah.
The great Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Lou Rawls.
Yeah.
Let's see. Treat Williams, an actor.
No kidding. Friend of the show, Treat Williams. Rest in peace, by the the
How about that?
Yeah, he's been on here. He's been on twice.
Okay.
Or I mean, I shouldn't say he has, like, because he obviously passed. He's
Yeah.
not coming on anymore. But yeah, I had him on a couple times.
Sarah Silverman, comedian. Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
Janelle Monáe, the singer.
Yeah.
Lee Trevino, golf champion.
No kidding.
How about that?
that?
Let's see.
I got a couple
Deshaun
more
Jackson,
in there,
NFL receiver.
Yeah.
Vance Joy, Australian singer-songwriter. Robert Irwin recently won Dancing with the Stars. He is the son of Steve, the wildlife conservationist and TV personality. Of course, Steve, the great crocodile hunter. Rest in peace.
Yes. A couple more here. Oh, going back to what happened on this day in history.
Yeah.
You skipped this day in 1997. You know what happened on this day in
I do
1997?
not.
Latrell Sprewell attacked PJ Carlissimo.
Was that the choking?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, good stuff
Oh,
right there.
Jeez.
Mary Martin's birthday is today. She was born on this day in
Mhm.
1913. And I had two more from the world of sports
Okay.
that two more from the world of sports. Born on this day in 1966, former Saints quarterback Steve Walsh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Early 90s.
And born on this day in 1986, Andrew Tate. Remember Andrew Tate? He's like super popular podcaster and influencer and whatnot, and then got busted for human trafficking and a number of other things. Very short-lived run right there at the top.
Hey, rest in peace. Celebrity deaths today to the great Joe McKnight, former NFL player, of course, down the road in New Orleans.
Yeah. John Curtis.
Mhm.
And then went to USC.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that'll do it.
All right. And of course, it is World AIDS Day. So we are due up for the top of the hour, and hour 3 is coming your way next. By the way, we skipped a birthday. Born on this day died today in 1964. British geneticist J.B.S. Haldane. J.B.S. Haldane was a British geneticist, biometrician, physiologist, and popularizer of science who opened new paths of research in population genetics and evolution. That's right. Yeah. He double clicked it. He double clicked it. Oh, here they come now. Here's 12. Just over 12. I don't know. There's like 8 of them now. Studio. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get me here in about 2 minutes. You can stay with us. Well, once I get Rozas in here, Rozas? How did he pronounce it? How did he pronounce it? What did he say? Hey, David. Hey, this is Brian. Hey, do me a favor. I've seen your name on a million billboards. Can you pronounce it for me to make sure I get it right in the segment? $8:06. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Starting off hour 3 at 48 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Brian here with you, Cade Wazan producing. Coming to you live from the 180 Pros studio in downtown Baton Rouge, 180pros.com. Not your IT provider, your IT partner. We got a busy hour lined up for you this hour. We're going to talk with our Secretary of State, Nancy Landry, at 8:35. We're going to talk about everything under the sun with Moon Griffon at 8:15. But right now, though, today is supposedly the start of Operation Swamp Sweep. You should see a presence from ICE throughout South Louisiana and Mississippi, Southeast Louisiana and Mississippi. Joining us now to talk about this, immigration attorney David Rozas joins us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. Figured what better person to talk to than an immigration attorney about what is going to be going on around us. So I appreciate you carving out a couple minutes this morning.
Sure.
Okay, let's start with the basic. What is Swamp Sweep?
Well, I mean, if Chicago or Charlotte or LA or any of those are, for example, I'm assuming that Customs Border Patrol will come in and essentially start patrolling randomly. I'm assuming neighborhoods or areas and checking for people's immigration status.
So let's lean on a couple of the previous ones, because I'm sure you've kept up with the headlines from around the nation when there's been similar. There was Charlotte's Web was not long ago. Midway Blitz was in Chicago. What did it actually look like on the ground?
I mean, from the immigration attorney's perspective, it's been a lot of mayhem. To be honest with you, a lot of chaos. Essentially, like especially in Chicago, what we saw was a lot of people protesting on one hand. You got a lot of people protesting and filming on one side. And then it's basically Customs Border Patrol going into neighborhoods, stopping the average guy cutting grass or on the roof, or in Home Depot or Lowe's, who might look like they're Hispanic or from another country, and walking up to them and asking for papers.
We're talking with immigration attorney David Rozas about Operation Swamp Sweep that's allegedly starting today, or should be starting today. It's kind of been on the calendar. David, the quote-unquote sanctuary cities are the targets for these big sweeps like this. If you could, for those that are unfamiliar with the term, define what is a sanctuary city.
So historically, a city that is classified as a sanctuary city is basically some city in a state that says we don't do federal enforcement. We're not part of immigration. It's a civil matter. Historically, in Louisiana and New Orleans specifically, they would not honor what's called detainers, and mainly because of backup in jails. You would have a detainer on someone that ICE would request to hold for more than, to up to 48 hours. And New Orleans historically was kind of at war with the federal government when it came to this immigration enforcement, and I think that's the whole purpose of the CBP's enforcement coming here. It's meant to try to increase immigration arrests, and in reality, I think it ends up impacting entire communities, not just the people they claim to target.
Yeah. So just from an attorney's perspective, is for a city to declare themselves a sanctuary city, what gives the city the right to say we're going to defy the law?
Well, I don't think it's a question of defying the law. I think it's a question of separation of powers. And so some laws are given to the state and some are given to the federal government. And so when it comes to immigration enforcement, it's difficult for a state deputy or someone to understand what someone's status is. I mean, that's the biggest question now. People say they came illegal or they're doing this illegal. But you got people who are getting constantly arrested in immigration court, who have come in on parole or come in who have essentially applied for things like asylum or marriage visas, let's say, which is totally legal, has been historically done. It's in the regulations, but now it's being enforced as if it's no longer legal. And I think that's what historically cities like that would say, was that we don't have the training, the adequate training for state deputies or police officers to understand the complexity of immigration law.
So you fast forward to, taking immigration law for where it is, taking the rules and regs and who's in charge of doing what for what it is. And then you insert something like an Operation Swamp Sweep. What potential legal problems does it bring with it? Because I feel like on the one hand, if we have an immigration problem that does need to be addressed, but on the other hand, it's just not, killing a fly with a sledgehammer.
Well, I think that's the biggest problem is that what we have is not an immigration problem. We have a humanitarian crisis. And the way you do it is not in an inhumane way. People have rights, and the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld that time and time again, whether they're citizens, whether they're non-citizens. And I think if Congress would spend the time and money to do immigration reform, I mean, look, I'm prior military. I believe in a border. Most sane people do believe that we have borders and we should protect them. But the people that are here that came back and built our communities, like, after Katrina, that's who was building our communities, was immigrants. And now we're going to turn our back on them for some political gain. And that's what I truly believe is happening. Due process is out the window because of this.
Well, and look, this is just my take. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but when you read headlines about, the drugs coming across the border, those that are dealing drugs coming across the border, those who are involved in human trafficking coming across the border, and then, they inevitably, like, you read headlines about murder by an illegal immigrant that's in the United States. I don't know that something like this flushes those people out.
It's not. You know who they're getting? They're getting the guy who's been cutting your grass for 20 years. Right. They're getting the guy who's built back, after Katrina and Ida and all the other hurricanes. They're getting people who have kids who have been in this community for 20 years, 30 years. That's who they're really getting, because the numbers don't exist for it to be at this huge amount. You don't have like a huge amount of murders running around, because that's not how you catch them.
Right. Got a couple minutes left with David Rozas talking about Operation Swamp Sweep, which is should be or due to all reports getting underway today. All right, let's, from an attorney's perspective, what should folks do if they're approached by ICE?
You have a right to remain silent, and I would think that all the listeners would understand that. In the United States, if I'm approached by a police officer, I have a right to remain silent. That's a Miranda right. It's something that's been enshrined since the 1950s, and it's based on the Constitution and an unlawful illegal search and seizure. And the reality is that if someone comes up to me and asks me for my papers, I don't have to say anything. I have that right to remain silent. That's the most important one. And then also, regardless of who they are, you obviously have to be respectful. You cannot be, you can't, do things by force or anything like that. But as well, CBP and ICE, they have to have a judicial warrant to enter your home, for example. They can't just come into your home and start asking questions. It has to be an actual judicial warrant. So most importantly, whether or not you're a citizen or not, you have rights, and you have a right to remain silent and to contact an attorney.
Those who are here legally, those that have the paperwork to show it, I know I don't want to get down the whether or not it should be or shouldn't be people asking for papers, but those who are here legally and have the paperwork to show it, should they have it on them? I mean, yes, you have the right to remain silent, but would it make things so much easier just to be able to say, yes, I'm here and I move on?
So as a legal permanent resident, you're required to carry a green card, the historical, what you know as a green card. You are required to carry that. But the reality is that if we require people to show their papers, what's that to stop us from doing that to everyone? Everyone finds it an easy inconvenience unless it's them. And so the reality is that you and I have a right to remain silent and be free from unreasonable search and seizure. I don't need to have a cop come and ask me what I'm doing or when I'm going to the store, because if they can do it, then it becomes a slippery slope for everyone.
I understand that, but we're talking about the difference between idealism and pragmatism. I mean, look, you say whatever you want about it being a violation of my rights and illegal search and seizure, but if I want to get back on with my day and I can very easily prove I am who I am and I belong here, wouldn't that be to my benefit to get back along with my day?
That's an individual's choice. And I agree with you on that standpoint of like the actual individual to get on with their day. But the reality is that why are you stopping me? Are you stopping me because I speak a foreign language? Are you stopping me because I look different than you? It's like, what's to say that we have to stand up, I think, for individual rights. I mean, that's what we do as lawyers. That's what due process is. And so whether or not it's going to be an inconvenience for me to remain silent, like, individually, I think that's a question for the individual.
Let's talk about seeking legal counsel. I mean, obviously you're an immigration attorney, so your name's going to be out there as well. But in order to retain counsel, what do folks need to know, like if they're attempting to retain counsel after being picked up?
Well, in immigration, unfortunately, you don't have any. You have a right to counsel, but you don't have the same rights that you do. Like for a U.S. citizen gets a public defender. Let's say if you don't have money. So for immigration, although there's a lot of nonprofits, but a lot of that funding has been cut. You've got to be able to secure money to be able to hire an attorney. But more importantly, I think it's that people who have U.S. citizen children, let's say they've been here for 30 years, they need to figure out what to do if they get caught up. What are they going to do about the kids getting picked up at school, whether or not a neighbor's going to help them, and those kind of things. They need to be able to plan accordingly.
Last one for you before we get you out of here, and I appreciate you carving out a couple minutes this morning. And we might be too early in asking this question, but do we have numbers yet on what the arrests in other cities have led to? Like, do we have numbers yet of like folks who were here illegally were arrested, folks who were illegally committed other crimes were arrested, folks were picked up but subsequently released? Do we have any breakdown on that yet?
No, in fact, I saw a recent number of talking about Louisiana detention, because we're one of the largest detention facilities in the country. We house, we're the number 2 out of all 50 states are housed right here in Louisiana, in places like Alexandria, Gina, Richwood, Basile, those places. And I think the numbers were something like 75% or have no criminal history.
I said that was going to be the last one, and I totally lied. One more for you. It's basically just, what are you hearing? Is this going to be primarily a New Orleans thing, or up here in Baton Rouge? Like, what level of overlook are we going to get up here?
I have no idea. I'll be
Fair
honest.
enough.
Like, I think it's a shroud of secrecy.
He is attorney David Rozas. We really, really appreciate the time this morning. Thank you so much for hopping on board.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. 817 to Talk 107.3 FM. We're due for a quick break. You know what, though? Before we take that break, though, do need to remind you about the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. If you are planning business travel, look, now's the time of year you start planning the travel for next year, right? Or maybe you're already done. But if you're looking to plan out your travel for next year, FlyBTR.com. Love our airport in our own backyard. This is, yesterday when LSU's head coach got here, he didn't fly down to New Orleans and then drive back up. He flew right into our own backyard. And that's what I choose to do as well. Next time I'm flying, it's going to be in January to go to Washington Mardi Gras. I'll be flying out of Baton Rouge Metro Airport, taking advantage of that daily flight that goes to Reagan National. It comes home same day. Obviously, I'm staying a couple days, but I will come back into Baton Rouge Metro Airport on that Saturday. It is an unbelievably convenient experience. TSA is so much, the experience with TSA is so much more pleasurable here than it is down in New Orleans. Parking, you don't have to worry about. You're flying out of your own backyard. You save a lot of time by not having to drive down the interstate, and every day there are more and more available flights. Learn more at flybtr.com. Hey, while we have some time, can you check cuts 10, 11, and 12, please? From LRN, like while I'm talking to Moon or whatever, just to make sure that I have that's Gilbo talking about Kiffin. Yes. All right, then. Because the only thing I hate more than actually going to Gilbo is having them not be there. Oh. Do what? Yep. Oh, another one. Good Lord. Eight. 821 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Ran long right there with attorney David Rozas talking about Operation Swamp Sweep, which, by the way, I don't think is as good of a name as Operation Charlotte's Web was. I think we got gypped on the name right there. But wasting no time, let's go right back to the hotline. We got Moon Griffon on with us. Talk about everything under the sun with Moon every Monday. How are you, brother?
I'm doing a lot better. I said, I had 5 days off, and unfortunately, I spent 5 days with a stomach virus.
Oh no!
Hey, look, I went to Chuck's. We had a big old feast, 10 of us, and I watched everybody eat. I didn't take a bite of this Thanksgiving. Big old feast, and I watched everybody eat again. I told my wife I just want to go home. I didn't eat nothing. So I had lost about 12 pounds, and I lost 17.
Lucky. That's the only good thing about a stomach virus is the weight loss, right?
Yeah, now everybody says that the first part is bad. The second part, you go, I lost a little bit of weight. But as I like to say, it was a crappy holiday, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, it was on the field as well, and then LSU landed some pretty big news yesterday with Lane Kiffin is now the new head coach.
You know what I don't want to happen, Brian?
Well.
And look, I told you, I think the last week or week before, I think Kiffin's a hell of a ball coach. I'm not impressed. He probably fits in Louisiana because he's kind of corky, and you look at our politics, that's kind of the people that do well here. So I wish him the best, but I just don't like overhype. If you go back and look at last year's team, which by the way finished 7-5, I've never seen so much overhype by the media as LSU got that year.
Mm-hmm.
The number one quarter and all that. And what happens is you get overly excited. So when you let down, then you get upset. Kiffin's going to come in and Kiffin's going to win. National championships are hard to win. People got to realize that. They're really hard. So you don't want to set your expectations high for the first year because, I looked at that schedule. LSU could easily be 8-4 next year. They could easily be 10-2. They could win the whole thing. But when you overhype, you oversell, you get very disappointed. They need to just wait and see. Let's see how it all comes together. He's a heck of a football coach, no doubt about it.
I'm with you on that front, but it's hard not to get overhyped when you've got, the way this whole situation played out. I tell you what, Moon, I'm hyped for just the resolution. I'm hyped for just let's stop. There's nothing else to talk about. We got a new president, we got a new AD, and now we got a new coach. All those pieces that were put in place, or all the turmoil that started 2 months ago, or whatever, that's all finally come to rest. That's if nothing else, that's what I'm fired up about.
Yeah, and you said that last week, and that part of it I agree because I've been Kiffin out. Right. Brian, the only thing is though, the reason why I mentioned overhype was you overhype, you go 7-5.
Right.
Okay. The excitement should be there, and it should be there when the next football season comes around. I'm not gonna argue with that at all. I just know this. I deal with reality every day with politics, and I try not to get too up or down. And it's kind of carried me over into like football. But you and me talking, and we'll move on to something else, but you and me talking right here, I don't watch professional sports wholly at all anymore. I may want to watch one individual and I might tune in. Mm-hmm. The NCAA, which is the worst leadership deal ever put together, it really frustrated me to watch the system. And that's what I'm upset about. The NCAA will probably lose a guy like me before long. Now, I'm getting older. I'm not into it like I was when I was young. But I can't stand soap opera. I don't like it in my house. I don't like it around me. And the NCAA, with what I watched this went down with Ole Miss loses their coach, which, by the way, ain't Kiffin's fault.
Right.
It's the system. It's what's been put up with this portal and the money and NIL money and everybody's trying to buy a championship. It's just about to lose me because I used to like when they said, hey, guy from LSU, number 87, Jack Best from St. Thomas More.
Right.
Now it's Jack Best, formerly of LSU,
right.
formerly of this. And you can't follow it. So I know that's what it is. Some people love chaos. I don't. So they could probably lose me soon. And they losing me ain't going to hurt them. But I'm just saying, just all the chaos. And I just want stability. And I think the NCAA is one of the most horrible things that's ever been started when it comes to sports. That's just me. That's one man's opinion.
No, and I hear it. I hear that opinion loud and clear. I mean, there are times where I fully believe that the way things are going right now, we are pushing something that is completely unsustainable, especially in a state where you don't have the endowments like you have in other places. It's going to be the richest man wins. And we're never going to be the richest man.
I don't understand. And I remember the governor getting involved, and they said the governor was involved putting NIL money. And that's fine. I like Jeff. Me and Jeff, I love Jeff. Jeff's been friends with me for a long time.
Yeah.
But Jeff was arguing about the contract. Well, you're paying a guy, you say, well, 90 million versus 100 is less. But to the average person, you're right. But it's a bigger contract than Kelly had per year.
But
and let me tell you something else we're not talking about.
What?
Lane comes in and has success early in the first couple of 3 years, which we think he will.
Yeah.
They're going to give him an extension.
Well, of course.
So that's how that's going to work. So it's going to really be a bigger contract and a lot more money. I pray he's totally successful. And if he is, there are going to be a lot of happy people. But I don't know how you sustain this. I just don't know how you do that.
Well, if I recall, and I don't want to put words in the governor's mouth, but if I recall, his biggest contention wasn't with the overall price tag. It was with the 90% guaranteed on the buyout, which means that you're working with no motivation to do good. You're working with no motivation to succeed. And if you let go of somebody, now the state's on the hook for $54 million.
My question is, because I didn't look at contracts, I don't care about all that anymore. I'm glad it's over. But what was the buyout?
For Kelly was $54 million.
No, for Kiffin.
For Kiffin, as I understand it, and I might be wrong about this, but as I understand it, the buyout escalates with the number of wins he posts up. It's very performance based, which is exactly what Jeff Landry was hoping for.
I had a guy email me the other day, and I really like the idea. $1 million a win every year.
Sure.
And so if you win 15 games or whatever it takes to win a championship, you get $15 million.
Yeah.
You go 9-3, you get $9 million that year. Still a good payday, but you didn't get there. Boy, would that be? Who would take that salary?
I know I would.
And look, you can do a bonus.
Yeah.
You can do a bonus when you get to the playoffs.
Sure.
Make it around round 1, round 2, championship. I don't think anybody, that's performance based. And I would like that. But somebody just sent that. I said, you know what? That makes a lot of sense.
We got about a minute and a half left with Moon Griffon, host of the Moon Griffon Show, coming your way 9 to 11 right here on Talk 107.3 FM and statewide. Hey, Moon, how much hype is this Operation Swamp Sweep getting over in Lafayette?
Not as much as they getting from Baton Rouge down to New Orleans. People are not really talking about it because they don't feel like they're involved. Now, I did have a buddy of mine that stayed in Lafayette, New Orleans this weekend. He said, man, it's a mess. He said, they got people, you don't see as many people on the streets. They got people hiding, doing their work and staying inside. He said, so the people down there are really, really concerned. But I don't think you have to be concerned unless you're there illegally. But people that work illegals are very concerned about it. He said he didn't know how that was going to work when this all came up and what was going to really happen down there. So down there, I think it's a gigantic concern, and it is going to be a big deal.
What else you got on the show today?
I got to do a little carbon capture. I know that's been a big deal. Me and you and everybody don't agree on this thing, but this has kind of gotten out of hand. It's money versus what people really feel is the problem. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it again today because there's some lawsuits that came up. And, you know, it is what it is, Brian. I just don't know where we're going with the whole thing when it's said and done.
I wish we would listen to the science on it for sure. In the meanwhile, you're coming up half an hour from right now. Always appreciate the time, brother.
Yeah, Brian. Thank you, bud.
Thank you. Here's news. Oh, man. All right. Metro. I missed a live read somewhere. No, you did. I missed. Oh, you know why? Because I had Neuro Justin Landmark for the same 35 and 45. So I need to do Landmark Bank. Oh my goodness. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Chong. Oh, ask Moon about illegal immigration. I did. All right. There's Nancy. Oh. Hey, Walt. Hello? Hey, I did not get any talking points for today. What are we covering? We can do that. Oh wait, no, hang on. All right, you know what? I got them 8 minutes ago. Yeah, all right. Okay. Yeah, let me go grab this off the printer. We'll be ready to roll in just a second. All right. Cool. Yep. Hang tight. Okay, that means Nancy Landry's getting bumped because they're paid. So, Wolves Company's paid sponsor. Is she called? Wait, who's on the phone right now? That's Walt Leger. That's New Orleans and Company. Completely different interview. No, keep them. I double booked the secretary, and I will make it up with them on the back end. Walt comes first because they are, yep, sponsored content. No. Yeah. Leger, Leger. Oh, okay. All right. 837 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to check in down in New Orleans. Time to check in with Walt Leger from New Orleans and Company. How are you, man?
Fantastic, Brian. Good morning. Hope you had a great holiday weekend.
Couldn't have been better. Couldn't have been a better holiday. Well, I say that. I mean, we already got our Christmas present, Lane Kiffin. So outside of that, the football on the field wasn't the best. Although New Orleans played host to the Bayou Classic, and it was impressive to say the least. Southern going down there, pulling out just their second win of the season and looking good to do it.
Yeah, that was a barn burner. And it obviously, it was a great weekend for New Orleans. We were happy to have everybody in town and celebrating, and a very successful weekend. And what's so great about that I didn't make it over to the game. I had some family commitments, but I did make it over to the Legislative Black Caucus brunch before the game, and it's such a great reunion. When great rivalry, but also a great reunion of people coming together to uplift one another and compete on the field, but also continue to try to uplift each other. And that's an exciting event. Really enjoyed it.
And then Southern goes up another level to name a New Orleans native as their next coach with Carver High's own Marshall Faulk.
Big coaching weekend. I think, the Marshall Faulk hire, I just think that's great for the whole state.
Same.
Get a winner back home to be a part of Southern football tradition and add value there, and obviously wish him well going forward, but just excited to have such a winner and a New Orleanian back home in the state of Louisiana. It's a big deal.
Very, very much so. All right, we got a lot to talk about. Holiday time around New Orleans is always a very special time, but if we could, I want to fast forward right past Christmas over to an event. What is Second Line in the Sky?
Yeah, so, obviously we're coming up a month from now. We'll be unfortunately celebrating the 1 year anniversary. I say celebrating, we'll be commemorating the 1 year anniversary of the terrible terrorist attack on January 1. And really proud of the work that Katie Kasbarian has done. She and her family for generations have run Arno's restaurant, and she's a real leader in the community. And she came up with the concept of trying to develop this Second Line in the Sky, which is a memorial and commemoration, a lighting installation that's going to be unveiled tonight, actually, to honor the lives that were lost on January 1st in the terrorist attack. Really beautiful, fitting tribute. 3 blocks along Bourbon Street. Basically a temporary display that's suspended, and 1,000 handcrafted flags. That'll be a glowing canopy over Bourbon Street. First time we've ever attempted anything like this in that area, and obviously a moment to pause and reflect and remember the tragedy. Also, in typical New Orleans fashion, trying to draw upon our traditions of second lines as a way of celebrating life at the same time. So I think really fitting and a beautiful tribute.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool way to look back and pay homage to what was such a horrific night and morning, and just the hours that followed. Just I don't think we'll ever forget it, man.
I'll never forget it for sure, and I know that it'll live with so many of our community members for so long. Of course, 14 lives lost. I'll really, as I said, Katie Kasbarian led this effort. She raised funds throughout the community to put it together, worked with the families of the families of those that are deceased as well as survivors, and really hoping to transform that grief into a celebration of resilience and strength. These are sort of, they're basically kind of prayer flags that are each individually designed with photographs of some of the loved ones that have passed, prayers, personal messages, all woven into this installation. And then the lighting will be there to give it some additional attention up in the sky. And so really, there's more information online. I believe there's even an Instagram account that's been created. So we want people to come out and pay their tribute and be a part of it and support the businesses in that area as well. They also were terribly damaged and suffered and are continuing to bounce back from the negativity surrounding that event. Of course, as our community often does, we rally and move forward, but also appropriate to pause for a moment and pay homage to those lives that were lost. So a beautiful tribute, and we'll be kicking that off this evening at about, I think 6 o'clock is the official unveiling and launch of that. It'll run for about 6 weeks.
Walt Leger from New Orleans & Company is our guest. And really that was, 2025, once 2025 got rolling, it was a banner year for New Orleans.
There were so many big things and some challenges, right? Nationally, there have been some headwinds on travel and some other things, but once we got past the 10 inches of snow in late January, we really took off with the Super Bowl and, so many events that followed it, some great designations as we've worked to elevate the brand of the city and of the state with partnerships with organizations like Michelin on the culinary side, and then UNESCO Creative City designation on the music side. Millions of people came in to visit us for conferences, conventions, meetings. We had journalists and dignitaries and meeting planners and travel professionals. It's certainly been not the easiest of years, but a good one. And I was actually just talking to one of our sales leaders in the hall before I walked into my office, and it's been her personal best year, and she's been doing this for 35 years, literally booking hundreds of thousands of hotel rooms into the future for meetings and conferences. And she was saying it's been one of the most challenging, but also one of the most productive for her personally, and really proud of the work that this team does despite the challenges that pop up.
All right, I want to talk about how you keep the foot on the gas, though. You're not going to replicate the Super Bowl by having another Super Bowl, but how do you, in the aggregate, make sure that the numbers don't drop off, make sure that New Orleans stays full in 2026?
Yeah, one thing we want to lean on hard is the relationships and the work that we've done to build relationships with journalists, influencers, and others that were here because of the Super Bowl. So we'll have a lot of journalists in town, a lot of influencers in town, continuing to push out content on our behalf that elevates the brand. We'll be spending some additional dollars on marketing to drive visitation. It's still challenging out there. What we've seen in the marketplace is that luxury travelers are continuing to travel, but folks who are looking for better deals and more moderate income travelers are peeling back a little bit. So we're going to push even a little bit harder on creating opportunities for them. To lean into the cruise industry, that's been really powerful for us, and we're going to continue to promote that and bring in people, because we know that people who are cruising out of New Orleans tend to stay for a few days before and or add on a few days after their trip as well. Basically a 2-for-1 kind of vacation getaway. And we're going to continue to look for these events to drive impact as well. We know the Sugar Bowl is coming up. We're looking forward to having a great matchup in the quarterfinals, however that shakes out. Rockin' 1000, which is the 1,000-person rock band, which will be performing for the first time in North America at the end of January. And leaning into the convention, conferences, and meetings that are already on the books, and trying to help drive up attendance. Because one of the things we've seen in 25 is a little dip in attendance for some of our conferences and meetings. That's a national trend, and we want to buck that trend by trying to help our partners drive impact through visitation and attendance. So we're going to double down on our efforts to be good partners with our meeting planners and help drive attendance to these events as well.
I was asking about next year, and you did mention the Sugar Bowl, but I can't skip, as the father of a Southern Miss student, I can't skip past the New Orleans Bowl coming up. When do we know who's playing?
I'm glad you didn't. Yeah, New Orleans Bowl obviously is an important one as well, and that'll be coming up soon. I assume once we get past this week, learn about the conference championship winners and seeding in the playoffs, we'll see how things shake out from there. My understanding is 82 or 83 bowl eligible teams, only 78 slots for bowls. So I think we've got to kind of wait and shake that out a bit. And my guess is we'll probably know by midweek next week how the bowl games are going to really shape up. But looking forward to New Orleans Bowl, of course. I think that's December 23rd this year. So right around the holiday season, we'll be excited to have the annual New Orleans Bowl game as well.
Oh no! So traditionally, I believe the Sun Belt champion is in the New Orleans Bowl. But if James Madison's going to end up winning the conference, I know way too much about Sun Belt football at this point. If James Madison wins the conference and moves on to a different bowl game, and y'all end up with the Eagles from Southern Miss in there, I'm totally hitting you up for tickets.
Well, let me know. We'll be happy to. I'll come hang out with you and go to the game too. It sounds fun.
Absolutely.
James Madison, famous James Madison alum, Mike Haas.
No way.
New Orleans Saints.
Voice of the Saints. All right, I did not put that connection together. So I know who he's pulling for to get the bid for the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Hey, got 2 minutes left with Walt Leger from New Orleans and Company, and I alluded to it earlier, but I want to retouch back on this. It is the holiday time in New Orleans. This is a very, very special time. Walt, give me your number one Christmas item around the city, and you can't say Celebration in Oaks. What is the number one thing you look forward to?
Well, I'll tell you what's become really special for my family, and that's caroling in the square. Caroling in the square, I can't believe is not even more widely known. I feel ashamed a little bit about not knowing more about it until probably 5 or 6 years ago, as my kids were starting to get a little bit, older, and now they're 9 and 7. It's our favorite family thing to do. It is truly a magical night in the French Quarter in Jackson Square. I believe this year it's the 21st of December. December 21st this year. Caroling in the Square, really awesome event put on by Neighborhood Association down there that invests in supporting that event, and it's classic, Christmas caroling. It's usually a beautiful night, and really excited about that. I think it's really a spectacular event. Usually a great crowd, but I'm surprised it's not bigger, frankly, because it's a really awesome event. And then, of course, there's all the hotel lobbies and the great Réveillon meal, meals that the restaurants put on, the Réveillon dinners and cocktails that have become really special this time of year. I think 44 different restaurants are putting on a special holiday menu. So all of that can be found at neworleans.com. But caroling in the square to me is a hidden gem, and hopefully more and more people keep discovering it.
He is Walt Leger from New Orleans and Company. We always appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, Brian.
You too. Yeah, I know way too much about the Sun Belt at this point. Really don't like that. We get Your Money Now coming up 5 seconds from right now. We'll check Your Money Now. We'll check traffic on the way back in. Lane Kiffin's the coach. We'll talk about it next. Do what? Oh. You talk about Max? Mike Haas is a James Madison grad. How you like that? Me neither. Oh, man. Let me go see what I have available tomorrow for Nancy. 8:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Temperature's a little bit cooler this morning. It's that time of year where you might need to give your vehicle a little extra TLC. If you drive a European vehicle, that means going to see Vinny and his team over at Vex European. VexEuropean.com is their website. They're located on Benefit Drive. That's kind of the backside of Industriplex. I'd start with the website. You can make your appointment right there on the website. I drive an 18-year-old Mercedes, and my car, it needs a little love. It's 18 years old. In fact, a couple weeks ago, when we had that cold snap a couple weeks ago, when I start the car up, heard the belt squeaking. That's not good. Hopped on the website, hit the little appointment tab, made my appointment, went over to Vex European this morning as it was colder, fired up the car. No squeaky belt. Got done, got taken care of. To more than my satisfaction, to be absolutely sure. If you drive a Mercedes, a Porsche, if you drive a BMW, a Land Rover, if you drive a Jaguar, an Audi, check out VexEuropean.com. All right, before we get you out of here this morning, obviously top news of the day, LSU has its head coach, Lane Kiffin, coming over from Ole Miss literally yesterday. The 50-year-old accepting LSU's reported offer of a 7-year contract worth more than $90 million. Our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network, they talk with Tiger Rag editor Glenn Guilbeau, who says this is a fantastic hire.
Because he was the hottest coach available, including the school he was at, and then Florida entered the picture. So that says a lot that LSU can land somebody like that.
So, I mean, if we were on rewind the clock back to when Brian Kelly was fired, or allegedly fired, but not really fired till the board of supervisors fired him 3 weeks later. But go back, rewind the clock. It was a traumatic month for LSU football. You had Kelly out. You had the governor get involved. You had Woodward out. Then it looked like LSU was going to have a hard time attracting a big-time coach, which proved not to be the case. How are you going to hire a coach when the governor's involved? Well, that got done in short order, didn't it? You got a brand new athletic director in Verge Osbury, and people talking all kind of trash about Governor Jeff Landry sounding off. Well, looked like everything kind of worked out to the best. Glenn Guilbeau says the new AD, Verge Osbury, was confident that there wouldn't be a problem finding somebody.
Verge said, hey, football coaches just want to coach football. There's no politics involved if you win. So Lane obviously thinks he's going to win and is not going to be concerned with politics.
Kiffin's departure from Ole Miss is going to be such a mess, y'all. As he was hitting the airport, people showed up at the airport. They drove to the airport to go boo him. And LSU's playing the villain once again. I love when we're the villain, by the way. But you went 11-0 this year, Ole Miss, and you're not done yet. You're in the playoffs with an interim coach, but you're still in the playoffs. By the way, Kiffin is bringing a number of assistants with him. In a statement, the new LSU head coach says he wanted to coach the Rebels in the playoffs, but his request was denied by their athletic director, Keith Carter. Here's what Guilbeau had to say.
If you're a player from Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin, you feel like he really fought to coach you, because that's what all this delay was about. He wanted to continue coaching these Ole Miss players, so they can't be too mad at him.
And, you know, for everybody who says, well, of course he can't coach in the playoffs. Why? I mean, as far as LSU's concerned, take those who are in place right now, hammer out deals with those who are in place. I mean, you're keeping Corey Raymond, you're keeping Frank Wilson. Who are you keeping over here? Let them go out to work on the recruiting trail. Most of the work is already done. I don't think anybody's going to really flip and run at the last minute because we brought in Lane Kiffin. And if you're Ole Miss, you're getting to work as well. Let that completed product be a completed product in the 2025 team. And if you say it's impossible to do that, I'm going to point you right down the road to Tulane, who, as I understand it right now, John Summerall is going to finish out the year there before moving over to Florida, which, by the way, I'm sure our sports station is going to cover this ad nauseum. Well, Florida got themselves a steal, y'all. The Gators are going to be legit once again. So, messy on Ole Miss is in. We're good. Moon's next. All right, y'all. I got an interview I got to pre-record, so I got to bounce. Toodles.